Alright, what's going on, 59 crew? We're going to talk today about 59's official top 10 games of 2020. Now, we've compiled a list from some of our console core members here at 59 to bring you a list of our favourite games of the past year. Now, I'm one of the console leads, Hazink, and I'm here with my co-lead, Lethal. Let's start with our honourable mention. Why don't you kick us off here, Lethal?
Alright, now this first one has to be mentioned because how about this? Despite its horrific launch, right, and its hardly unplayable console version, the PC players did enjoy their time with this game for the most part from what I've heard, and they loved Night City and what it had to offer, and a lot of the RPG elements that this game had to offer, and that was Cyberpunk 2077 right here, this beautiful game. So it has to be put in there because, again, despite its bad launch, the game itself, I think it was going in a good direction. And it just, like I said, it just had that bad launch, and it just had a bunch of, well, obviously has a bunch of bugs and problems with it, but I think this game was going somewhere, and it has really good potential. Hopefully, they'll bring this back.
Yep, and just to say this isn't the top 10 console games of 2020, it is a fantastic game on PC, so it does deserve to have an honourable mention if you ask me. Agreed. Next up, we have a game that I don't really think here at 59 we could make a video and not at least shout out the Dragon Ball Z franchise that blessed us with an open world game that fans have longed for, and that is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Did you play this, Lethal? What was your thoughts on Kakarot?
Hell yeah, I had to play this, man. Listen, this is, again, for all of us that were big fans of, oh my god, was it the Legacy of Goku? Like, all of us that like wanted that RPG-esque, kind of experience, action-y, open world game for Dragon Ball. This was something that I think we all wanted for a long time, and it was so great to have this experience and to relive basically, the show and the manga and everything. Like, it was so great to just kind of go back to those cutscenes. Like, there was no way you were going to ignore and not say that, like, this game didn't have beautiful battle scene animations when it came to those little cuts that they took out for the special scenes. Oh, it was gorgeous. Beautiful game.
Yeah, done a good job. Now, here at 59 Gaming, once again, it would be remiss of me not to shout out the next game that deserves an honourable mention if you want to move on to the next slide. We have Breath of the Wild, that's right. Oh, in fact, what am I saying? It's Genshin Impact, that's right.
Yeah,
to catch us to the next level and brought the genre to a more general audience. Now, obviously, here at 59, we do quite a lot of work with Genshin Impact. We've got a podcast that you can check out, and we also stream weekly Genshin Impact videos on 59 Gaming. Did you play much of this, Lethal? What was your thoughts?
I actually play a lot of Genshin Impact. Like, it's definitely one of my consistent side games I've been playing. This game is doing great. Like, they've been keeping it on a steady pace. I mean, at least in my opinion, I think they've been doing a good job of like keeping it sort of consistent with some events, new characters that you get interested in. And I've been saying for a while now that this is one of those like games where like it's gacha, right? But I mean, you kind of forget sometimes that it's gacha because it doesn't fall heavily on it, and it kind of gives back to like its open world and Breath of the Wild kind of like gameplay and whatnot. Like you can get easily lost in this game without having to worry too much about those gacha elements. So this is one of those games that we had to mention this because it's still doing really good, and honestly I think this game will have a good future ahead of itself.
Funny, we've both just went to prove you can't mention Genshin Impact without mentioning Breath of the Wild.
Listen, it's come on, what do they call it? Breath of the Wild? It goes up there, man. It goes up there.
So that is our honourable mentions. Now it's time to get underway with the list. Starting off at number 10.
Number 10, Last of Us 2. Now, we had to add this game in there because aside from the controversial story decisions that this game has made, it did overall had, it was a really good put together game. Okay, it had really good acting performances. Obviously, we saw some winnings. We didn't see some. We saw a bunch of a bunch of wins from The Last of Us 2 for the Game of the Year awards. Let me see. Besides that, there was also we talked about how this game was like, it was visually really captivating. It was a beautiful game. Even the character models, they put a lot of work into this game, and we felt like it had to be part of the top 10. And again, it's not just me. A couple of us had thought that Last of Us 2 deserved to be mentioned as part of the top 10 list.
That's fair. I mean, I think a lot of the downvotes this game gets is because of two quite controversial decisions within the story. We're not here to spoil stories of games, right, so we won't dive into that. But if you're a fan of The Last of Us 1 and you do not like the game that is The Last of Us 2, I think you're kidding yourself on. It's the story that's clouded you, and it is a great story. It just takes some big, bold risks with its storytelling, and obviously when you do that, it's not going to resonate with everyone.
Agreed.
So moving on, now we have number 9. Which is going to be Persona 5 Royal. Now, anyone that's played Persona 5 knows it's a winning RPG. It's one part life simulator, one part dating simulator, and another part dungeon crawling, turn-based RPG brilliance, greatness. Basically, it's not really a follow-up to Persona 5. It's best way to look at it is it's more like Persona 5 Plus. They've added some new story elements. They've fixed a lot of things that was wrong with the game, streamlined it a little bit. Basically, if you ever played Persona 4 Golden, that was an improved version of Persona 4. That is what Persona 5 Golden is. It's basically the best way to play the game. It was quite high up in a lot of our console members' lists. But when we collated them and looked at them, it fell at round about number 9 on the list, so it did make it on here. It's a great game, very enjoyable, and it also has an anime to go with it. Lethal, did you play this much? I think you might have played normal Persona 5, maybe?
Yep, I'm currently playing normal Persona 5 right now because, I heard about the hype of this game. I didn't quite understand it at first, but let me tell you, Hazing, I understand it. I understand the hype for this game. It's a great game. It's a really great game. And I'm only I think, 10, 15 hours into it. And I hear there's so much more to it. So Persona 5 Royale, I can only imagine that all the extra stuff they added into it, it's gotta be in our top 10 list.
Just like me, we have to have the little token plug that me and Lethal were lucky enough to get PS5s. We got it for free with the PS5 collection. Perfect time to jump in there.
Shout out to PlayStation. Shout out to everybody.
Yeah,
we appreciate that.
So, on you go.
All right, jumping to the next one. Number 8, Among Us. Of course, this game had to be put on this list because I don't know anybody who doesn't know this game. Literally, there's kids that I work with that know this game. So I know this game is popular. This is one of those memorable titles that made COVID honestly easier at a time. And then it's like a social indie sensation that became the most popular game ever in terms of just monthly players. And honestly, it's still popping off right now, man. This game is still super popular. There's still tons of collaborations going on with this game, and it's bringing different parts of the internet together that you probably would never thought you'd see. It's honestly amazing. It's that fun, engaging, immersive game that honestly just gives you the excuse to lie to your friends and just test your relationships. How about you, Hazing? You've played some Among Us, right? I
don't know if you're Lethal anymore. I'm starting to think you might be an imposter. They kick you out of that airlock, my man. But yeah, I played some of it. I'm yet to be the imposter though. I've not only played it enough that I've managed to get the imposter, but I have played it a good few times. I'm hoping to jump onto a few streams with people from 5.9, etc., and we might get some Among Us done and played. But yep, I agree. Among Us deserves to be here. It did release on the Switch this year. Some people might think it came out in 2018. Why is it on this list? It is just been released on Nintendo Switch. So in our eyes, that means it's eligible for this list, and that is why it is on here. So now we roll on to number 7, which is HalfLife Alyx. Now this one's been left to me because I am the token VR guy here. HalfLife Alyx took VR to a sort of a next level. It took it from being sort of a small, kind of experimental, here you can play around with physics and that, and it made a game. There's only one other game I'd have loved to put it to be an honourable mentions, but this and the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners kind of took what is usually an experimental format and fashioned a full game out of it. It tried lots of different things with hand tracking and stuff like that. HalfLife Alyx is a return to the world of Half-Life, and it's honestly fantastic, and it's a well-deserved number 7 on this list, which may surprise a few people. We have a VR game on here, but it more than deserves to be here. Lethal, were you a fan of Half-Life? I know you've maybe not played this one, but were you a fan of Half-Life in general?
Actually, Hazing, I've never touched a Half-Life game, but I've heard they're great. I've just never personally got into them, my man.
Well, get yourself the orange box for PlayStation 3 if you've still got one, and you can give it a go.
All right, moving on to number 6, Call of Duty Warzone. Now, personally, this is just one of those games where it took us, I think it took a lot of us by surprise. I think we were kind of shocked because this is one of those where, it's the Battle Royale game, but I think what they did with it is they just, the cross-gen, or what's the word I'm looking for here? The cross-play between different systems and consoles, and just the way you can play this game with a bunch of people was really big for them when they launched it. And honestly, with the Call of Duty skin on it, and then the introduction of the Gulag, This, I think it was a lot of players here at 5-9, some of their favorite esports, one of their favorite esports titles of the year, and we just felt that it felt good to go put it on this list because, this was a great game, and I know a lot of people are still playing this, and a lot of people still choose to play this over Cold War that just came out, so it's got to mean something. This game is great, and I played it again myself, but I just know a lot of us here at 5-9 actually do enjoy this game.
A lot of people at 5-9 do enjoy this game. Me, I don't like first-person shooters, so I never voted for this one. So
Okay, correction. Everybody but Hazing.
that is correct. So next on the list we have number 5, which is Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is Nintendo's little life simulator where you can go and live that island life. Get away from the world that is COVID-19 and have some fun with some animals. And in a good way, obviously. So it was Nintendo's biggest game of the year. It did actually push a lot of sales of the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
there was a long time you couldn't get the Switch. They brought out a special edition that went for way over retail. Scalpers had fun with that one. Is this a game you've played, Lethal? You seem like an Animal Crossing man to me. I take it you've spent quite a lot of hours with these little furries.
To know it, man, to your surprise, Hazing, I am not an Animal Crossing guy.
Oh.
Listen, I crossed the line for some games, and this game just wasn't one of those I wanted to cross that line with, man. Maybe I'm not a big like life simulator kind of guy. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just not my thing. But I mean, clearly it is for a lot of other people.
You heard it here first, guys. Lethal's a bigot towards furries. He doesn't like little funny animal
Not
creatures.
even.
Moving on
to number 4. Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PlayStation 5. You can also play it on PlayStation 4. This game took the foundation that Spider-Man 2018 had laid out for us, and basically Venom punched the hell out of it and gave us a plethora of new action, new characters, new abilities. It wasn't like it was so much different from the 2018, but it just took what it had and honestly just made it a lot more better. And visually with the ray tracing, which was probably one of the bigger things with this game, oh my god, if you can't tell from the screenshot alone, this game is gorgeous. And it's one hell of a game. Great story. I'm so glad this came out with the PS5. I think this really helped out the PS5 for its launch. I think it was a big one. What about you, Aze?
Slightly disappointed that the biggest Spider-Man fanboy in 5-9 never got a chance to introduce Miles Morales Spider-Man. That's me. But this great game's fantastic. I mean, just things they did for this game, little touches like the Enter the Spider-Verse suit. I mean, yeah. You can play this game in 60 frames a second and it looks amazing, but half the people that play the game choose to put it onto like a 15 frames a second mode so they can emulate Into the Spider-Verse. And yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. They just basically took everything that Spider-Man done well and made it better. Yeah. So it gives you great hope for what's going to happen with the eventual sequel, because if you think of this as basically Spider-Man 1.5, which I think is a fair thing to say, then you obviously know when Spider-Man 2 comes out, it's going to be doing a lot of good stuff. So it gives you good hope for the future, this one.
Great.
So, Leaf, I'm going to let you take the next one, number 3.
Going into number 3, Ghost of Tsushima. This game, I know for me and a bunch of others, it took a lot of us by surprise. This was like the action adventure game that basically sucker punched our expectations. I hope you guys caught on to that. It showed us the beautiful sights of Tsushima that we honestly didn't know we wanted, and it gave us the combat that we also didn't know that we wanted. My biggest takeaway from this game was obviously the beautiful views that it gave us and the great open world that it was, but honestly, my biggest thing was the combat in this game. It was amazing. They nailed it. And again, it was a game that I was looking forward to but didn't expect to fall in love with, and I thought this was literally one of 2020's best games. And so even shout out to Sucker Punch, I'm so glad they also decided to release, not too far off, they released the multiplayer update for this game, Legends. They killed it. This game, I think it did so good this year, and this was personally one of the games where I was hoping, if not for another game, I was hoping this game would win Game of the Year, because I thought this game was amazing. The music was, oh god, it's so good. It just did so well for its first, brand new IP. I think it was great. Hazing, what about you, man?
My biggest takeaway from this is it makes me sad in a way that this game is so good, you know that they're going to work on a sequel and stuff for it, right, which just says to me, my hopes of getting a new Infamous title are diminishing by the day. I want them to resurrect Cole McGrath from the dead. I
Oh my
want
god,
Cole
Infamous
to be
1.
back in Infamous. They need Infamous 2, my man. They need to bring him back. They hinted that it could happen, but with this game blowing up the way it did, I think it could be a long way before we see anything like that happening. Now, the reason I let Lethal take number 3 is because I wanted to take number 2, which is Hades. Now,
Number 2.
oh yeah, my man. That's a bit of a surprise for some people. They might not have been expecting that one.
Right.
Now I bet you're all wondering, wait, what's number 1? So yeah, Supergiant, if you're not aware, they made games like Bastion and stuff like that. They knocked it out of the park with this one. Hades is a fantastic game that is a sort of a roguelite title. If people don't understand that, basically death is not final in this game. You basically need to die to progress. You unlock abilities and stuff as you play through the game. But yeah, building Hades on the lessons of prior games such as Transistor and Bastion led to a project that is truly phenomenal. The story between Zagreus and Hades felt like that of an actual father and son, not of gods. The combat's immersive, and every run of Hades feels new and exciting. The reason this feels so different is because each time you select a new weapon, the game plays differently, the combat's different, the abilities you unlock. You can basically get a sort of a gacha style, although it's not like that, but you get a roll each time you go through and you get offered new abilities, and sometimes you can get lucky and get offered the most amazing abilities, and you've got to pick 1 out of 3, so you've got this gamble in your head, should I go with this, should I go with that? Your choices could dictate how easy or how hard your run is, and in reverse it could give you more reward for doing something that's a little bit harder, you know. This is my game of the year, and it's also Clerk, who's another core member of the console team. It's also his game of the year, but this is a collaborative effort, and we've taken everybody's numbers and pulled them together, and unfortunately Hades just made it to number 2. So you know what, fanboy himself, we will let Lethal tell you what is number 1 for 5-9 Gaming.
Listen, I give respects to Hades. I haven't played the game personally, but I've clearly seen there's a lot of guys in 592 that have said that this game deserved to be Game of the Year, and I'm sure it's a phenomenal game, and maybe one day I'll play it. But I'm sorry, Hazing, and to all you guys watching. But number 1 that we've seen that was very popular with a lot of guys here at 5.9, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Listen, characters were given more depth and basically allowed you to fall in love with them all over again. Who didn't want to see Cloud come back? And I mean, come on. The last time we seen Cloud from a Final Fantasy title, right, was when he was in the, what do you want to call that? 2D, 3D kind of mix back in the day from the classic gen. But seeing him in like 4K, seeing him in just this 1080 pure HD, just seeing him in this remake, it was phenomenal. And not just him, it was the cast of characters, seeing Barret, seeing what's it called, oh god, Aerith, Tifa, like just all the characters, just seeing them come back, seeing Midgard. There's just no way you couldn't watch this or play this game. Oh, sorry. I say watch it because this game also felt like a movie. There was plenty of cutscenes. I was just like, am I watching a movie? Like, this felt like I was watching Advent Children again because that's how beautiful this game was. This game's, the RPG elements were just fantastic, and not just that, but the gameplay too. Like the actual action. There was even cutscenes within the action to kind of give it little transitions. Like it was just so well done. I mean, the acting was great, but I think a lot of us that were really nostalgic for this game were just kind of glad to see Midgard given more light and given more time to kind of show off the city, going through the slums, going through different sectors. I mean, it was a beautiful game. Not even just that, but getting back those classic music scores, those timeless renditions of songs that we just kind of wanted to hear come back. Honestly, this game had its flaws, but no game had us make us feel like we were experiencing something that was brand new, but also just so nostalgic. It was a beautiful game. I'm sorry, it was a great game. I know, Hazing. I know. Go ahead. Let me know. I know.
Oh, I've got no hate, mate. This was my game when I was a young man, a long time ago, obviously. But I absolutely adored Final Fantasy VII. For the longest time, I would probably have called Final Fantasy VII, might possibly still call Final Fantasy VII my favourite game of all time, because what it meant to me when I played it, how much I enjoyed it, how much I replayed it, and spent so much time with the characters and stuff like that. So as much as I personally would have liked to have seen Hades at the top of this list, It is a collaborative list. It is chosen by everyone's points of view, and I'm not going to argue with everyone. Final Fantasy VII deservedly, for 5-9 Gaming's list, takes the number 1 spot. Now, touching on that, guys, I just want to remind you that this is our own opinions of what we feel were the best 10 games, with a couple of honourable mentions, of 2020. Now it is your chance. We appreciate you coming. We appreciate your opinions. Drop your comments down below. Let us know if there's anything that you feel should have been on this list. If you don't like the placement of some games on this list, hint, hint, wink, wink, Last of Us 2. If there's anything that you think should have maybe not got as high as it did, or any of the honourable mentions that you feel should have been on the list, DBZ Kakarot, just drop a comment down below and let us know. Again, I'm Hazink. I've been joined here today with Lethal, and as always, man, we will catch you on the next video.
Peace.